This lady passed out on a stranger's bed. This is her first time in the house, and the man had stepped out to get her a bottle of water, only to return and find her unresponsive. The man is baffled by her lack of response and quickly panics, rushing to check her for any signs of life. He hurriedly gets onto the bed to take a closer look, trying to determine if she's still alive. He shakes her, but she doesn't respond, so he leans in to check for a heartbeat, and in that moment realizes she's dead. Only a qualified doctor or medical professional can officially confirm a person's death. He searches her bag for an ID card and is stunned to discover an inhaler, indicating she suffers from asthma. During their few days of chatting, the lady intentionally never mentioned that she is asthmatic, as the condition had driven most of her loved ones away. The man hurries into the sitting room, grabs his phone from the couch, and scrolls through his contacts, searching for a friend to report the situation to. He calls Smart, his longtime friend, who shares the same lifestyle of bringing women home for dates, to report the situation. Some friendships are built on convenience, not conscience, and when trouble comes, even loyalty starts to sound like panic. He quickly explains the situation to his friend, telling him he needs urgent help on what to do, and pleads with him to come over immediately. A few hours later, Bhadman is still in panic, sitting on the couch and anxiously waiting for Smart to arrive. Smart enters, and Bhadman immediately begins to express his anger over the delay, but Smart quickly cuts him off, explaining that he was busy when the call came in. Bhadman immediately orders him to sit down in a raised tone, prompting Smart to respond angrily as he takes a seat on the couch. As Smart sits down, Bhadman quickly explains that he met a lady on a dating app, and after just 3 days of chatting, she came over to visit him. He explains that the lady asked for a glass of water, and when he returned with it, he realized she was unresponsive to his calls. Smart finds it hard to believe Bhadman's story and suggests he might be trying to prank him. He refuses to believe it and insists on seeing the woman's body before he can offer any advice. Sometimes truth sounds so strange that even those closest to it mistake it for a joke. Smart's nonchalant attitude toward the situation ignites physical anger in Bhadman, who feels Smart is deliberately trying to make him look like a liar. He stands up from the couch and instructs Smart to follow him to the room. He leads the way as they both enter the room, where the lady still lies motionless on the bed. Smart is shocked to realize that what Bhadman explained is true and, for a few seconds, is left speechless. Bhadman searches through the lady's handbag, brings out her inhaler, and shows it to Smart, explaining that she must have had an asthma attack. An asthma attack is a silent struggle where air becomes scarce and every second matters more than words. Smart immediately advises Bhadman that they should inform the police about the situation and report the body so her family can be traced. Bhadman strongly rejects the suggestion, telling Smart that he called him to help dispose of the body, not to involve the police or report himself. Smart immediately objects to the idea and storms out of the room in anger. Bhadman immediately rushes after him, trying to stop him from leaving the house. He steps into the sitting room to block Smart from leaving and angrily tells him he expects them to work together to find a solution. He tells him he barely knows the lady, insisting that no one will be able to trace her back to them after disposal. Smart dismisses Bhadman's suggestion and insists they report the case to the police for a proper investigation. He believes that since Bhadman did not commit any crime, the authorities should take over the case so her family can be properly informed about the incident. To Bhadman, it feels like Smart is trying to set him up for detention, believing that reporting the case will lead to his arrest since the police may suspect him. When fear takes over, even the truth starts to look like a trap set by those closest to you. Smart stands by the truth, but Bhadman struggles to accept it, fearing that society will persecute him without a proper investigation. Standing on the truth can feel like standing alone, especially when society is quick to judge before it understands. Bhadman understands that, as a young man living well, he may easily become a target, and with the state of the system, the police could wrongly suspect him in an attempt to extort money. In a broken system, even innocence can feel like evidence, and success can be mistaken for guilt. Smart isn't trying to report the issue to get Bhadman detained. He believes it is the safest way to clear himself, since he fears he may also be implicated as a witness to the situation. Realizing that Bhadman isn't willing to report the case, he gets up to go to the police himself, but Bhadman immediately stops him from leaving. He explains to Bhadman that he has now been indirectly involved in the case and needs to protect himself by reporting to the police so they can properly investigate. He tries to push Bhadman aside and leave the house, but Bhadman blocks him again, realizing he must find a way to stop his friend from reporting the case. When desperation meets survival, even friendship can turn into a battlefield of truth and fear. Bhadman lies to Smart, saying he has agreed to report the case, but needs some time to go to the room and change his clothes first. Smart sees the request as an excuse and tells him he doesn't need to change clothes, but Bhadman insists and asks him to wait for him. He sits on the couch to wait for him to change clothes, warning him to be quick, he won't wait for long. Trust becomes fragile when urgency rises, and even a simple delay can start to look like deception. Bhadman sits beside the lady on the bed, his mind racing for a way out, firmly believing that reporting the situation would lead to his own downfall. When fear clouds judgment, every possible escape begins to look like a trap waiting to close in. To him, Smart isn't trying to help, but is carefully trying to exempt himself from the case and avoid any consequences, without concern for what the law might do to Bhadman, the one who invited the lady. He decides within himself to eliminate Smart and run away from the house without being detected. He slowly rises from the bed, heavy with the weight of his decision, yet unwilling to back out from what he is about to do. He walks into the sitting room with a glass of drink and tells Smart he needs to take a shower before they leave, offering the drink to keep him occupied while he gets ready. Smart looks visibly displeased at Bhadman's explanation and firmly insists that they are out of time, stating that taking a shower should not even be considered at this point. When pressure rises, patience becomes a luxury and every delay starts to feel like danger. Bhadman insists on taking a shower before they leave and pressures Smart to accept the glass of wine, which Smart immediately takes from him and empties. Never accept an open drink without certainty, because trust can be tested in the smallest glass. Smart, unaware that the drink Bhadman served him was laced with a substance, continues speaking until the effect begins to show. His body reacts suddenly, and he starts coughing violently. In a desperate attempt to protect himself and avoid being accused of murder, Bhadman crosses a dangerous line, turning against the very friend he called for help in his moment of distress. When fear of blame becomes stronger than loyalty, even trusted hands can turn into instruments of betrayal. To escape a crime he did not commit, Bhadman ends up committing the very same act, in a desperate attempt to conceal the truth about what happened to the lady. When innocence is clouded by fear, even self-defense can lead a man into becoming what he was running from. Bhadman begins to think of a way to make the act look like it was intentional from the man over he must have committed the crime against the lady. He picks up the empty glass from the table, hands it to Smart, and then quickly runs back inside the house. He rushes into the room and immediately begins packing his clothes into a bag, preparing to flee the house. To his surprise, the lady suddenly begins to cough, showing signs of life and the realization that he may have committed a grave act, for nothing hits him hard. This is a lesson to everyone. Avoiding authorities out of fear can lead to deeper consequences than the original problem. Thank you for watching this video. Please share and comment where you are watching from.